Yes. Now, let me ask this. If you get to be a congressional delegate,
Yes.
what happens at the congressional convention that you can share with the audience?
Well, that's where you would nominate and then endorse, hopefully, somebody to run for your U.S. House seat. The resolutions that have made it past both the caucus and the BPOU level come to that level, and you vote on them. Again, in the odd years, you elect officers for that congressional district organization. So again, you've got chairs and vice chairs, secretaries, treasurers, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and we should mention that everybody gets freaked out about the resolutions, but a lot of resolutions end up being similar. And I know at the BPOU level, and I assume at the congressional level they do this too, they have a committee that deals with resolutions, and they will hodgepodge. It is all up to the convention eventually.
Yes.
The delegates still vote up or down, but they kind of hodgepodge resolutions that are similar.
Wow.
and hopefully just into one. Sometimes it's the changing of wording. Sometimes resolutions will give you gray hair, see? And sometimes they go very quickly. They can go quickly. Other things that happen at conventions is you mentioned candidates talking.
Yep.
Candidates for offices will often show up at BPOU conventions as well, because they know those are the people who are going to be making the selection. And we've got a lot of state offices up this year.
Yeah.
Why don't you share, Jason? We've got governor and senator, but there's some lesser-known offices that are still statewide that are also up in 2014.
Well, we've got state auditor, we've got secretary of state, and we've got
Attorney General.
Attorney General, yeah. Those are the three big ones. And they're important. Your auditor is the one that keeps track of government finances and makes sure that
everything's transparent and all that.
Well,
legally transparent. The auditor really doesn't have the power to enforce things unless the legislature would empower them to do so.
Right.
But I'll tell you, you read an auditor's report, it is eye-opening, some of the things that are in there. It doesn't get much coverage.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, but you see some of where your money's going. The state auditor's report is, I think, it's important office too for exposing your tax dollars.
Yeah,
and it's important to have somebody in there who is interested in doing that.
Yes. Yes, it is. Secretary of State, that they run our election process. They run the rules behind elections. They count the votes. They register the votes. And it's up to them to declare a winner.
Certifying an election.
An election, yep. And our current Secretary of State, who was financed by George Soros' Secretary of State project, is up against some other fine folks, I'm sure, this year. We have.
Is he running again? Are we aware of?
I'm not sure yet.
I haven't heard about Swanson or Otto either.
So, yeah, I haven't either.
They've been there for 2 terms, all of them, I think.
Yeah.
That Secretary of State's office. We've seen how close election results have been in Minnesota.
Yes.
Recently, we often have a strong third-party voice, be it libertarian or independents or green. It's much easier to get on the ballot in Minnesota than it is in some other states. So that those election rules, and I mean, I've been an election judge before, and I won't do it again without voter ID, but I have done it before. And that is, in every precinct where you vote, there will be election judges and poll challengers there, and their job is to enforce that state law that comes down from the Secretary of State. Or technically from the legislature, but it's Secretary of State's responsible for laying it out.
So I guess maybe to touch on that quick is then if you are selected as an alternate delegate to the state convention, then you would go to the state convention, and these are the people that you're nominating
for statewide office.
For statewide office, and you hopefully endorse then coming out of that those 3 offices, someone to run for governor, your U.S. Your U.S. Senate
we have a Senate election
candidate,
this year,
And so you've got all those. You've got your final go through the resolutions. Anything that's passed is added to the platform. And then in the off years, well, actually, this is where it's different. You elect people at the local BPOU level to go to what's called State Central, and it's a separate, like a full committee, and these people are the ones that elect the leaders of the party for the next 2 years, and they then run the conventions and the day-to-day business of the party.
So it's a pretty important job. I mean, being a delegate is you know, one thing I should mention being a delegate, something I didn't realize until 2008, the first year I became a delegate. Be careful who you give that cell phone number out to, because you will get called by candidates running who, you know, and it's a good thing that they do it. They want to talk to you. They want to see how you're thinking and try to get your vote. But if you got some competitive elections, boy, you might get a few phone calls quite often.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why it's important that we keep the caucus system intact.
Right, if it's a primary system, you wouldn't get called by anybody.
No, you don't get called by anybody. You might get robocalls, you know,
unless you got money. If you got money, you'll get a call.
You'll get a call,
If you're an average citizen, they don't care.
Won't. But this gives regular people a chance to get to know the candidates. And it's important because we have to know who we're putting forward. We have to get people in that have integrity, because we haven't. They've been horrible across the board. Horrible. And we need to...
How do you really feel?
We need to replace probably 80% of the people that are in any given office at any time. I'm not even kidding.
You know what? I'd settle for 30 at this point just to make some
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it is interesting. I can remember 2010, I got off work, and I was kind of in a bad mood, and I got a phone call, and it was Tom Emmer on the other line. I was huh? How'd you get my numbers? I ended up talking to him for about, I probably took up too much of his time, but he was willing to talk just as much as me. So, yeah, I mean, it is quite a thing to, they're coming out, they have to convince you.
Yeah.
To vote for them at that level.
Plus, if they win and they go serve in office, and then they come back to their district and it's like, hey, remember me? You talked to me last time. Oh, yeah. Hey, why aren't you doing what you said you were going to do? Well, instead of coming back to the district and being able to look you in the eye because they don't know you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a big difference. If they don't know you, they can say whatever they want. And if they're not a person of good character, they will say whatever they want.
That's right. Power is an intoxicating thing, I think. Well, you know, Minnesota, like we said, has discussed getting away from the caucus system. What are the forces? So you mentioned the people with money and all that. What do the major parties think of the caucus system, do you think? Do they like it? Do they not like it? Where's other than the money, where's the drive coming? Because it seems like we've been having this debate for a while now.
Yeah.
Do you think, where's that coming from? And do you think that the caucus system will stay in Minnesota, or is that something that's still on the chopping block?
I think for now we're safe because the grassroots want it, and the grassroots keep electing leaders that are in favor of keeping it around. We do have to worry about, you know, this isn't like your state Democrat, state Republican, state Libertarian, state Constitution Party can say, hey, we're switching to the system. No, it has to come from your legislators. But I think because that's what we want right now, and we're able to perpetuate it, it will keep going. But don't be fooled. There are people with a lot of money that want to be able to buy elections, and the only way that they can really do that is to get rid of this system.
So you can't be bought as long as the grassroots average people are in charge of who's running.
Well, it's possible. I mean, again, go
primary system, I guess,
go back to, you know, the whole Dayton Kelleher thing.
Yeah, and it's something that I think we might be in for this year as well, maybe on both sides, who knows.
Yeah.
Okay, well, just to let folks know, February 4th is when the entire state of Minnesota caucuses. All parties are required to caucus that day. And just to give you a little timeline, If you go to a BPOU convention, you can go there as a guest, by the way, if you just want to see what's going on. They will be in March. You have to get into your Senate district and find that out. Your congressional conventions will be in April. State conventions will be in May. So if you're interested in that, I suggest you, whatever party you're from, you call them up, go to their website, and figure out how to get there. But February 4th, come to your caucus. I know the Republicans caucus at Cooper High School. I think the Democrats do at Old Sandburg.
I think so.
I think so. But if you, whatever party you want, go there and make your voice heard and get involved locally at the grassroots level. All right. Well, that's another show in the can.